Hey gang, John Baccarella here with your Lake St. Clair Fishing Report, brought to you by Sportsmen's Direct. It is Friday, November 22nd. A little later than what we normally do, but it's been kind of a wild weather week, and it looks like it's probably going to be a little bit wild tomorrow as well. Water temperatures down to 48 degrees. So we were at like 51 last time I did the report, just last week. And I said, watch for it. As soon as these temperatures drop, that lake temp's going to drop. That's exactly what's happened now. We're down to 48, and she is just going to keep going down. So looking at the extended weather forecast going forward here, next week, actually basically a week from today, or starting Thanksgiving, starting Thanksgiving next week, we're going to start to see lows down in the 20s. And it looks like maybe starting next Friday, we're going to get high temperatures, basically just about freezing. So those are actually below normal temperatures by, I don't know, like 6, 7, 8 degrees maybe. So we're going to start to make up for some of that lost ground. But with all the wind that we got going on and the wind that's forecasted, we should catch up pretty quickly to where these water temperatures should be for this time of the year. Even looking up at the water temps over on Lake Michigan side and up in Lake Huron side, everything has lost a couple of degrees, just like we did out here on St. Clair in the last week or so. And Lake St. Clair will actually cool down much faster than the Great Lakes, just because of the lower water levels. Just not as much mass out there. It's going to cool off just a lot quicker, just the way it works. Wind forecast going forward as far as weather goes, looks like it's going to blow again tomorrow, and then Sunday and Monday are going to be the lighter winds, and then we're going to get into some higher winds next week. And we're kind of getting into this kind of a zonal flow, I'll call it, where we're not getting these big ridges out west and these big troughs. It's just going to be kind of a weather-wise, you're just going to have little fronts moving through, and the extended forecast is calling for exactly that, and it's also calling for the temperatures to be below average going into December, which is a great thing for you folks that are waiting for ice this year. So walleye bite, because of these lower temperatures, has been on fire in the Detroit River, the St. Clair River, all around the lake, basically, even for the shorecasters at night in and around the store. The walleye bites definitely picked up, and that's what you would expect when these water temperatures drop like that. And we've also got a lot of color in the water right now, too. So even though the water levels are extremely low, and they are extremely low right now, these fish still feel comfortable in really shallow water. It doesn't matter whether you're fishing for muskies, whether you're fishing for panfish, perch, walleyes, they all feel more comfortable with that water clarity diminished, especially during the daytime hours. So if you guys are waiting, for the change to go out and start pulling cranks, now is definitely the time to do that. Or if the water cleans up, then you can jig. But either way, you kind of can't beat it right now. Jerry Toner was out there this week and pulled a pretty darn quick 5-man limit, and the fish were averaging 20 inches or better. And I'm hearing that from everybody. Even my one buddy that fishes from shore down on the Detroit River, they pulled a limit plus. I mean, they were throwing back like 20-inch fish. Everything they kept was over 20 inches, and that was fishing from shore. So the bite has been really, really, really good. And it's really not going to slow down. We're just kind of waiting for freeze up now. But let's see, perch bite, kind of the same deal. Fish are shallow now, getting lots of different reports from people in different locations, catching fish from shore. The only problem right now has been the weather. It's just, there's some days you can fish and other days you can't when the wind's just howling, and you're fighting, water clarity issues, because when the water does get too turbid, then the bite is going to be tough. Those fish are going to hug right down there on the bottom, and you're going to have to get it right in front of their face to make them bite. But when it's clean enough for them to bite, then it's been pretty good. The spillway could be the same thing. We've had some rain, so there's more color in the spillway than what it's been. But once that does clean up, I would look to find some perch guys in that spillway. They're generally going to show up there right around now, all the way through Christmas time. And it's a good place, and it's kind of counterintuitive, right? Sometimes when that lake is really dirty, places like the spillway and the Clinton River are actually going to be cleaner, provided we didn't have rain and they don't get runoff. So even though that wind will tear up the main lake, your backwaters, your canals, your marinas, spillway, Clinton River, they might actually be cleaner water conditions. And in that spillway, you got walleyes, muskies, and perch. So you do have some options regardless of what the weather does. Muskies are all over the place right now. I'm getting guys that are catching muskies, casting from shore just about everywhere. Guys in the boats are catching them. Most of the guys are casting right now. Don't be afraid to cast at night for these muskies, and especially don't be afraid to cast really shallow at night. These fish will come right up into a couple of feet of water, especially at night. So if you're a musky angler, treat it like bass fishing time. These fish are going to be all along the shoreline. They're looking for those walleyes, they're looking for those big perch, and they're looking for those big juicy shad that show up as well at this time of the year. So don't be afraid to fish shallow. For you smallie guys, I'm sorry, I don't get much information this time of the year. There's only a select few people that are out there chasing smallies, and there's an even smaller group of guys that are catching smallies this time of the year, and they get really tight-lipped. They are getting some good fish out there. I've definitely seen reports, but I also don't want to put people on top of people out there and tick people off. But if you go out there and you work hard, you can find fish, although I'm going to guess it's going to be a lot harder right now with the water temperatures falling into the 40s and the lake kind of turned up like it is from all the wind and rain that we've had. So that's definitely not going to help at this time of the year for the smallie bite. We've had some really big panfish come in this week. It's kind of been a shootout, especially in the crappie division. Right now we got Marcus in the lead, but I know John Maniaci was there, I think, for a day, and then he got bumped out with an even bigger crappie. We finally had a rock bass come in this week. Andrea brought a decent rock bass in. I don't know if it's going to hold, but it's around 3/4 of a pound. And then Julia brought in a 14-inch perch that weighed 1.4 pounds this week, which is a true jumbo, and I'm guessing that one's going to be up there for a little while because 14 inches is 1.4 pounds is a pretty solid fish, and it should stay in that spot for a while. But with the size of the fish that you folks were getting out there on the boats, I know once we get ice, we're going to see even bigger fish than that come in this year. So there's a lot of quality fish out there to be caught, and I know you guys are going to get some of them fish. The docks are still in at Harley. I drove down there today, and but I will say this: you may want to bring boots or some waders anyways, even with the docks still in the water, because they are kind of barely in the water. With that strong offshore wind we had blowing today, it blew like another 6 inches of water out, and man, those docks were really high and sticking up. You almost might as well be out of the water because the water levels are so low. And I don't see that changing anytime soon. Even this little bit of rain we had is not going to affect it. When that wind lays down, some of that water is going to come back, but we're still going into a really, really low water period. Getting reports of places like Alter Road where guys have been launching that said it's unless you got a really small boat, it's even too shallow to launch there. Also heard of somebody dropping their trailer off the pads at Blossom Heath with the low water, trying to get in and float their boat. So if you are launching, be very careful with the low water. If you're running around out there, be very careful with the low water because it is extremely low right now. Trying to think if I got anything else. This is a short report this week. Thanksgiving's next week, so we're not going to do a report then. And then we're really going to be starting to just watch the ice report going forward because we're going to have some, if this weather forecast is right, after Thanksgiving, we are going to get some lows in the 20s, and it looks like it's going to stay that way for a while. And if that happens, then we could be looking at making some ice in some of the canals pretty quick. I know you guys are saying, my gosh, we were at 50-some degrees. I know, but when you get this wind and you get these colder temperatures, it's going to suck that heat right out of the water really quick. And when that happens, she can skim over really fast as well, too. So expecting some big lake effect snows on the west side of the state with the warmer temperatures. And we may even see some of those lake effects here if we get kind of a northeast blow off of Lake Huron with the warm water up there. But could be really interesting going forward. The good news is, though, that we do have forecasted good, cold, average to below average temperatures going into the end of this month and then going into December. So we got a lot of new inventory at the store this week. I've got more coming. We did a lot of pull aheads this year to get a lot of our spring tackle in early. So if you need to do some Christmas shopping, there's some good deals right now for Black Friday in there, whether you're looking for ice tackle or open water. There's just a ton of inventory in there, and a lot of muskie baits too for you guys casting for muskies, and a ton of stuff in the bargain bin for stocking stuffers. So stop in and see us at the store, and hopefully you can get out and take advantage of this late open water fishing. Hey gang, if you like our content, hit the little subscribe button and the bell icon, and you'll be notified as soon as we put out new stuff.